area.
Evidently, they saw my discomfort with the situation as a threat to air transportation security.
Now, after the incident, Robert says he was told that he was free to leave the airport. Now, since then, he has been taking time off from work, and he is seeking legal advice.
If you tolerate this, your children will be next. One pilot stands up against the naked body scanners, not to even mention the detrimental health effects if he would go through this thing every time he would go to his work. Damaging your DNA, the backscatter x-rays. Destroying you on a number of levels. Physically and spiritually, consciously, because this is all a war on consciousness. Let us never forget that. So, all of those things are there for you to connect dots to: the body scanners, the underwear bomber, Awalaki, 9/11 questions, all of these things. Posted below this story, pilot refuses naked body scanner. We have our police state updates, where a story we also note, again, thanks to my man Alan from Omaha, posting on cyberspacewar.com, NSA cartoons encourage kids to spy on their families. Here, the link goes to gawker.com. All the other police state updates: Supreme Court restricts right to have a lawyer during police questioning. That's from VancouverSun.com. Police misconduct costs New York City taxpayers nearly $1 billion to settle claims. That's from ActivistPost.com. U.S. government does not have effective control of 1,000-plus miles of the U.S.-Mexico border, so says Department of Homeland Stupidity, with a link to CNSNews.com. Even though the drones are flying, the agents are swarming, becoming the perfect storm for some catalyzing catastrophic event, tying in the immigration meme, the drug war memes, the North American Union, all of those things. Here it is again, Santa Fe using radio frequency tracking badges, this time from GalvestonDailyNews.com. Urban Shield exercise brings law enforcement to the Bay Area. More on that from ABC Local. STLtoday.com notes the Exterminator. Exterminator armored truck will watch Illinois neighborhoods. Creative law enforcement isn't new to St. Clair County Sheriff Merle Justice. Last year, the dean of the region's chief cops sponsored a haunted crack house that used an old Grange Hall to depict the life of a young drug addict. Before that, Justice publicized a drug house of the week aimed at shaming dealers into leaving town, but on Tuesday, his deputies lifted a plastic tarp to unveil his newest idea, an armored truck to park in problem neighborhoods, as a vandal-proof platform to transmit live pictures. I thought about a lot of names. I thought the Cockroach would have been appropriate, but we just settled on the Exterminator. The donated and rebuilt armored truck once used to carry cash, fitted with cameras, digital recorders, and gear to stream live videos. This is what they're rolling out for us. We better be building our own. And here's another case of intelligence-connected patsies. Patsies convicted in the New York synagogue bombing case. A federal jury in New York has convicted 4 men of plotting to blow up Jewish synagogues and target military aircraft. James Cromite, David Williams, Onta Williams, and Laguerre Payen were arrested after planning what they believed were real bombs at synagogues in Bronx during a sting operation carried out by the FBI in May 2009. The note here is that FBI informant had promised dim-witted mastermind of supposed terrorist group a BMW, a barbershop, $250,000 in cash if he carried out the attack. This informant, Shahid Hussein, testified on cross-examination in federal court in Manhattan that he bought food and paid rent for James Cromite. Hussein, a.k.a. Malik, played a similar role 4 years ago in an Albany case. In both cases, Malik did not stumble upon active terror cells plotting to bring destruction on American soil. Instead, in both Newburgh and Albany, he needed long periods of time to recruit his Muslim contacts, spin elaborate tales about his terror contacts, and develop solid plans of action, all the while providing the defendants with large amounts of resources and cash incentives. Or so says the Village Voice. Online Journal further getting into 4 men railroaded in New York plot to bomb synagogues. I believe I read in the New York Times, as I do on my breaks at work, so I can read yesterday's news, that this was another victory for the informant use, and a defeat for the defense and their quite reasonable point that this was entrapment. Here's an interesting story that was really big and then died just as quickly. Random shots fired at Pentagon cause minor damage. I believe we'll have another note on that from Copycat Effect when we start blasting through the news purge. But our last note here on the police data updates, Gerald Celente, trends forecaster, noting quite bluntly, as he is very good at on Russia Today, that essentially America lives in a fascist state.
Do you think Americans are aware of what's going on?
Yeah, they know about it. It's a new trend. America is going from what used to be the major capitalistic country in the world, the free market crusader, into what Mussolini would have called fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers. So it's not socialism as people believe it is. Socialism's egalitarianism. And it's not communism where it's state-controlled monopolies. It's fascism, plain and simple. The merger of corporate and government powers. State-controlled capitalism is called fascism. And fascism has come to America in broad daylight, but they're feeding it in little bits and pieces. First, AIG was too big to fail. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a mortgage company, too big to fail. Banks, too big to fail. Auto companies, too big to fail. Now we're giving money to the people that make the auto parts. And now there's talk about the technology companies wanting their piece of the action. The merger of state and government is called fascism.